The Transformation Motivation is a weekly podcast featuring people that have made extraordinary transformations within their health and fitness journey, and maybe even their life. The podcast is an opportunity for real-life transformation stories to discuss their story for others to relate to. Too many times, there are people with these social media transformation stories that have doctored up photos, so we want to highlight real people with real stories people can relate to. We'll get insider strategies, tips, step-by-step of how they did it, and challenges they faced along the way. Now, get ready for the Transformation Motivation Podcast.
What's up, party people? This is Fit Emmett, and you're now tuned into the Transformation Motivation Podcast. And this is a podcast where we talk to people from all across the world, and we talk to people that have had great success within their fitness and within their health and wellness journey. And they post all their stuff on social media. And, you know, sometimes we get these social media stories that we see pictures, and we kind of want to get a little bit more in depth as to like how they achieve great success. So this podcast gives you an opportunity to actually get in touch with and even talk to some of the people that have had great success, and they get to talk about strategy, what they're doing currently, what they have done. And I have the great privilege and great honor today to introduce my man, Javi, onto the show. What's up, Javi? How you doing?
What's going on? Hola, hola. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
So Javi is just going to give us a little background as to his story. I got just a little piece of it. I really want to know, first and foremost, starting weight 325 pounds. How tall are you?
I am 5'5.5".
Wow.
So I'm not too tall. I'm medium. I'm medium.
Before we get into all the details about like weight loss and stuff, go ahead and give us a little background as to who you are, where you're from. Give us background as to who is Javi.
Okay. My name is Javier Hernandez. I am Latino-based, half Puerto Rican, half Mexican. I grew from Tempe, Arizona. I will be 34 this year. I'm a family member of 10, single-parent family.
Wow.
Let's see, I had 5 brothers, 4 sisters. My mom was crazy in a good way. She definitely loved her kids. She loved her kids. I could never imagine, I'm a father of 2 boys.
Yeah.
And a husband. I can never imagine having 8 other monsters that just don't stop saying the word dad.
Yeah. So and the thing that kind of drew me into your story too, because you are a family man. I'm a family man, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta have this guy on. I want to see how, because I get people that make excuses about like I don't have time because of family. Like you make time, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But even within that, like that's crazy that your mom had 8 other kids. Like, well, not 8 other, 9 other kids. And I've got 2 little girls. I've got 2 little girls myself, and I'm just trying to imagine having 8 other little monsters like my little monsters running around. That is hard to manage.
Yeah. She was old fashioned. We didn't get to do a lot. We grew up tough. Of course, to kind of narrow it down, we grew up pretty hard. We of course, because it was of that nature, and back in the day, we hit a lot of really hard milestones, which, again, my mom loved us unconditionally. It's just life happens. We ended up going homeless for a couple of years. I was so fat and homeless that my mom couldn't afford the clothes that would fit me, unfortunately. But at the same time, like not like today where, you can find big clothes everywhere. Yeah. Back then they had special stores. So you could even find that kind of stuff in a Goodwill or like a Salvation Army. So like I had to wear a sheet. I had like some Blessed underwear because they were full of holes. But I had a shirt, but I had to wear a sheet for a while. And it was embarrassing, but one of those moments where like it definitely played a lot into my perspective of life now.
Yeah.
Because my thing is this. Well, two things. One, familia is everything. Family is everything.
Sure.
Um,
Totally.
but perspective is everything too. Everybody, depending on how you look at anything, there's always a different way to look at it. And based on that, you would see how it can either destroy you or create you.
Yeah.
And where I come from, unfortunately, I'm the only brother left, or I'm the only son left out of those kids.
Gotcha.
Minus three. So I have three other sisters, and I'm the only son left. So technically, out of 10, there's only 4 of us left.
Wow.
So, yeah, it takes, life happens.
Mm-hmm.
Life has happened. I've learned a couple things, like the phrase, there's no such thing as change. You just come to a new normal.
Huh.
When you adapt, you become, you have a new normal. No longer something changes, just a new normal. So whether it be, your life transforms you for you.
Yeah.
So my perspective on a lot of things really developed in time, But like I said, I was always the one that, I always thought things a little differently, and versus my other siblings. So again, it really came into play what it meant to have a different perspective on what happens and what it can do to you. Because unfortunately, I grew up in the projects, and a lot of us don't come out. And then if we do come out, we don't come out right. So
Sure. Okay.
the whole concept of what you do with it, that makes it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it seems like to me, based on what you're saying, all of your life you may have been a larger kid, like it from childhood. Sounds like you've been larger. And it's funny when you were talking about the clothes for heavier kids. I grew up as a skinny kid, right? So everybody wishes they would grow up as a skinny kid like me. I would eat and eat and eat and couldn't gain weight. There was a section of the store called the Husky section. You ever heard of that? Husky clothes. I wanted to wear Husky clothes, but I couldn't because
I was like, I had to shop. They had that store, Big and Tall, that I had to shop at for a while. I was the fat son though.
Gotcha. All right.
My brothers were all stocky.
So you are all. It sounds like like I said. It sounds like to me you were always larger. And at what point did you decide, or was there like a point where you were like, okay, I can either let this tragedy break me, or like when did you start making steps to improve your health and transform your body and your life?
Well, sometimes it usually takes a lot of tragic for anything to really click into anybody. You see something drastic, I would say. So for me, I was literally overweight for all my life, for about 20, 24, 25 years. I had a large appetite. And again, when I was homeless, that kind of played a role, which I realized as I was transforming why. But I'll get into that some other time. But I was obese the whole time. So I left home when I was 17 because after a couple of my brothers passed away, my family started spiraling out into drugs, and I didn't want to be part of it. And so, after that happened to my family, I ended up leaving. I said, you know what, I can't do this. I was 17. I said, I'll figure it out. My family's like, you don't have to leave. My mom was depressed. She just lost her sons, and being a father, I could not imagine, until I became a father, I could not imagine what it was like for my mom to deal with life being hard, losing kids, and then still trying to, keep right. So drugs was really involved a lot, and not the good kind either. Now, I would say there are no good kinds, but
I was gonna say, what good kind do we have?
Not like the prescribed, medical stuff now, but just the fact that, meth was a thing, it really destroyed a lot of my family, and I didn't want nothing part of it. So I ended up leaving, and I said, I'll figure it out. So I left home and I left with a girl that was from the same background as me. And, I thought I loved her. And of course, this is going to get weird, but I loved her. So I left home for her. So I decided to say, you know what, I'll work my butt off. And I'll get us where we need to go. Just give me some time. So that, long story short, she ended up cheating on me and breaking my heart. And I was already 300 some pounds. My insecurity was low. I was by myself. My family was all out of control. I was the one that kept an eye on my family, and my family was in a position to where they could be of no help to me. So like, I didn't have anything else. I was just me. And it got to a point to where like my depression set in. Everything played a role, and it got pretty far to where I even wanted to commit suicide. Attempted. I won't lie there. I attempted. And,
that's pretty serious.
it got really bad. It got really bad. And I realized that, why am I here? What's the point? All my life, I just dealt with all the suffering, all the things. I had to see my brothers pass before me. My brother was 21. Another one was died when he was 5. I mean, we all died young. And that was just in the beginning. So, I wasn't mentally right either, and I knew that. But after a while, I realized, you know what? I just need to focus on me. I'm broken. I know I'm broken. I got to fix me. If I'm going to fix anything, I need to fix me, because I'm just going to stay broken if I don't. So I ended up just at that moment, the ex already was gone. I knew I was by myself. I just needed to focus on me. It was just me. If I'm busting my butt to try to do for others, imagine what I could do when I can just focus a bit on me. So I started taking the necessary steps. I started reading, researching, and again, I was still, it was just me and myself. So technically, I was still very low, but I had no money. I was still poor. All my money went to just trying to keep a roof over my head and food in my fridge. But other than that, I mean, it was challenging. No technology. I think the only social media that was around was MySpace. But I had a flip phone, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. So it sounds like the tragedy of all the losses kind of started the whole journey for you. Now, so at that point, your girlfriend breaks up with you, family spiraling, doing a downward spiral with drugs. So when did the spark to start eating healthier and working out and all that, when did that really kick in, and what did you do initially?
Well, I always hated being fat. I always did. My brothers were all fit and stocky, and I hated being fat. I despised it. I just didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. And I'm like, okay, let's be common sense. I saw a lot of the magazines, and it just like, you know what? I knew this. I had a big appetite, so I had to cut it back. First thing I did was get rid of all the sweet things, because I knew sugar is not going to help me. I was pre-diabetic.
Got it.
I was like, all right, I got to get rid of all the sugar. Next, get rid of all the fried stuff. Then I had to cut back on all the tortillas I used to eat, because we're Latino, fresh tortillas. Well, that's over.
Yeah.
So I got rid of all that. And then I'm like, okay, well, I have to ask myself, what do I want? Do I want to be thin or I want to be buff? I'm like, I didn't want to be weak, because again, throughout my whole life, it's all about surviving. I had to fight people. I had to do things. I had to do things I wasn't proud of, but that's just to survive. So I'm like, I don't want to be thin. Fuck being thin. I want to hold my own. So I'm like, you know what? In order to lift weights, you got to build muscle. You want to build muscle, you got to lift weights.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let's go lift some weights. So I started hitting the gym every single day. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. I didn't hit the gym, to be honest. I broke into apartment complexes because I couldn't afford a gym membership. So I would use the equipment in the apartment complexes. Like I would find one, because my apartment didn't have it. So I would go, down the street and be like, oh, they got a gym. And I'd pretend like I was a resident, just kind of break in there, and use the equipment every day until I could afford it.
Determination right there. That's determination.
Again, when you, and I guess it's the fact that I grew up the way I did, when you find out that you're capable of finding resources when there aren't none, you realize what you can do when there are some. It's like, all right, well, there are gyms. Why not? Just a little lie, get me in there. It's not like they're going to care.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably did if they caught me, but, but, I mean, I had to realize what I wanted first, and, that's what I tell people now. It's like, do you really want what you want, or do you not even sure what you want? I just didn't want to be fat anymore. I wanted to be strong and not fat. I figured I'm over 300 pounds. If I can get under 3, that might be okay.
And that's usually a strong motivating factor for a lot of people is you avoiding the pain, So sometimes we do things to avoid pain. That spurs people into action. Like I want to avoid the pain of being fat or being uncomfortable or not feeling confident. So I'm going to work out hard, to prevent from feeling that pain. And like you said, sometimes it's out of necessity. So I get a lot of people that reach out to me because it's either an extreme want because of some discomfort, some dislike about themselves that's extreme, or out of necessity. I'm talking to my doctor. He says I'm pre-diabetic or I'm about to die. And then usually that's like, well, you probably should have come talk to me like 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. Get it.
And there's always going to be a pain or a poison, as I call it, because I run from one pain and I inflict another. Obviously in some aspects, I used to hit the gym every day, no matter what. I worked out with a broken rib. Wow. And that was, I don't recommend that for anybody, but I was like, and my thought was like, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't, and so I might as well just go with one that eventually get me happy or make me happy. I just climbed the ladder there. Eventually, people would always wonder. They see me when I finally went to the gym. They would always see me and they'd be like, "All right, let's see how long this guy lasts." It only took a few months for them to realize this guy is not stopping.
Yeah,
I was averaging 12 pounds a month.
Wow,
I wasn't going for the extreme, but
yeah, you were determined.
I was not. I was like, you know what? Even the doctors are like, "That's too much, too fast." I'm like, well, let me tell you this. If I don't lose it, I'm going to die. If I lose, I'm going to die. So where's the win? I'm like, I'm screwed. I guess for me, that was the easiest part that I had control over. The lifting, that's easy. I can do that. It was my choice to go. For everything that happened to me beforehand, it was never my choice. Gotcha. If I could choose, I would choose, my brothers to still be around. I would choose for things to happen. I would choose to not have done certain things, but I didn't have those choices. They were made for me. Mm-hmm. So what I have choice over is how I eat, how I move, how I live. So I just go with that.
They say control the controllables. I've heard that several times. Control the control. What can you control within this moment? Like, and people, the thing is, you can control how much you eat. You can control like your portion. You can control what time you wake up. You can control, going to the gym. But like you said, there's certain life things that you just can't control. You can't control the fact that certain family members may have passed away or certain things environmentally that may have happened. But what can you control? You can control your mood, your perspective, how you choose to look at something. Is this the end or is this the beginning of something new and great? So your breakup could have been the end, but it's the beginning of something, a new chapter, a new phase that brings you to where you are now with a beautiful family.
Perspective is everything.
Yeah. So what about food and nutrition? My people want to know about what did you do nutritionally? You said you cut out sugar. That was one thing. I always harp on sugar. So what was another thing?
I cut out everything fried. I realized that fried foods, they're okay, but they really add no value to myself, And again, like I said, I started to learn. I took nutrition classes that the gym would provide when I finally got in there, and started to learn the basics of what food could do, like the glycemic index. Since I was pre-diabetic and stuff, so I was able to, do things like that. So I started learning more about what foods my body would need. So like, obviously the simple things, like I started looking at the common denominator of what athletes ate. It's like, all right, they had a form of protein, they had a form of complex carb, they had a form of greens. All right, let's go there. Obviously, if everybody from a track star to a bodybuilder to a sports player, that was their common food. So there must be a reason behind it. It was simple. And simple is what the body needs. Yeah. I had to undo 24, 25 years of damage. I had to start with the simplicity of it. I started eating more high proteins, more chickens, more lean meats. I started doing more sweet potatoes and oatmeals for the nutritional value of like the fiber, potassium, the vitamins they provide. Yeah. And then I started to do more greens. Like I realized that broccoli's good. Bloats you, but it's good, and I prefer green beans more, but that's just my thing. But just I started getting like rid of the fried foods. I started trying to adapt the mentality of all that stuff I used to eat is still there. It's not going nowhere. It'll be there when I reach my goal. Yeah. Right now, let's just focus on creating more discipline, creating a stronger mindset than just allowing myself to do whatever just because I'm an adult.
Wow.
So I'm like, that's, and from there, again, it just common sense. Higher protein. I just lowered my carbs a bit. I didn't get rid of sugar. I just got rid of the processed sugar. Because, fruits are good. Berries are fine. Apples are fine. Yeah. Kiwis, great. Mm-hmm. Very low sugar, but a lot more benefits. And I realized, I need my body to kind of like a car. The outside can look great, but if the engine runs like shit, you're in trouble.
There you go.
So for me, I get this going.
Yeah. But cool. It sounds like you over time gained a pretty solid strategy on how to approach nutrition, and that's honestly a large part of my message to clients. So whenever I talk to them and all the interviews that I've done, it sounds to me like whoever I've talked to, they realize that it's 80% nutrition. I have to figure out what the fuel is that's going in my body, and the exercise will complement a healthy diet. Like, it just complements it. It doesn't necessarily, I've seen people work out for hours and hours and hours in the gym and eat like crap, and it's not changing. I'm like, well, here's the deal. You can't expect to drive a Maserati and put 87 fuel in it, or, you know what I'm saying, the cheap fuel in it, or, not the best fuel at all in that car. You're going to put the best fuel in a car. So I need you to think of yourself as a Maserati. Or, sorry, wrong choice of cars. I don't know what your favorite exotic car is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if the engine breaks down, you're done. No matter how pretty the outside looks, so, that's what I realized. I mean, after becoming a dad, I'm like, I want to do this long term.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the crash and the drastic. I want to do this to where, I'm 80 years old, I can still make my sons look sad. Shoot.
I get it.
I got momentum. I'm not stopping.
Yeah. So we're about to go ahead and wrap up, but I wanted to just get one piece of information or advice from you, something that you wished you would have learned a long time ago that now, that my viewers probably, because these are a lot of people that they're looking for inspiration, they're looking for hope, they're looking for something to get them started, they're looking for different strategies, tips, whatever they can take into their regimen to help them to be successful within their journey. So what is it that's something that you wish you would have known back in the day that you know now?
If I were to go back to tell myself in the beginning, would be that the message I just said right now is realize that you want to do this for longevity, not just for right now. Because here's the thing. We want to look like the people in the magazines and in the Instagrams and stuff. We want to be the transformation, but the transformation starts from inside, not outside. We can lose all the weight and we can get that shit right back. But the better we keep our inside going, the more we can keep doing this. If we love life, then preserve and take care of it. You only get one.
Yeah.
It's coming from a background like myself. I've lost a lot of them before their time. If you can take care of your life, take care of your life so that your kids can see you take care of your life so they can value theirs. Because then that is what they take. That is what really keeps you. And then when you go home to heaven, then you understand that you left a message that they can keep passing down inside, because your heart will always be bigger than your biceps. That's what I tell myself.
I love it, man. So I want to thank you, Javi, for coming on to the show, man, and gracing us with your knowledge, with your background, with your story. Powerful stuff, man. Super powerful stuff. And once you think you've gone through challenges, you talk to someone else that have gone through a little bit more extreme challenges, and it's like, you know what? Let me do what I need to do to improve my life and my longevity. Not just for myself, but for others around me. So a powerful message, man. Mm-hmm. I really appreciate you. So if people wanted to reach out to you, where could they find you? And give us all your stuff, man. Give us all your information. How can we get in touch?
Okay. I'm mostly on. I mean, there's so many social media platforms. Like, I'm not really good at Snapchat.
Sure.
You can find me on Facebook, the Beastie Familia,
Okay.
Beasty Familia page, or you can find me on Instagram, where it's at Javi Javi _ Get Beastie GetBeasty. And there, you can DM me, you can message me. I always respond, and that's the thing too. Like, I'd rather, I work a lot. I work 3 part-time jobs, but I always work to where make sure I respond to everybody, which is a plus. So those
Yeah.
2 platforms you can easily find me.
Cool. So that does it for our show. Thank you guys for tuning in, for checking it out. Hope you guys have gathered some valuable knowledge in your personal journey and your transformation. Until next time, this is episode 6 of the Transformation Motivation Podcast. Peace.